Okay, so tonight I got a couple of quick projects. I want to expand a little bit on, if you're a member of Chic Craftique, you'll know that I last week talked about making your own air dry clay or paste. Well, this week we're going to do something real old school. Hi, Alicia. Hi, Pam. Let's see who else is here. Hey, Marianne. Okay, so if you guys are old school like me, then you will remember as kids using two ingredients to make glue, to make clay. It was white bread with the crust cut off and glue. How many of you did that? Does anybody know this? No? It wasn't school. Smart Alec, Rhonda. Okay, first key then, if nobody's done this, take your rings off because this stuff literally will turn to rock and your rings, it will be hard to get off your rings. So take your rings off, set them aside. Now, yeah, see, Alicia, I'm glad I'm not alone. Okay, so my mom taught me this too. And I did this for my daughter's wedding, and I'll show you. I hand sculpted these. I've showed them before, but I'll show it again for those of you that are new to me. I hand sculpted these for my daughter's wedding. They're roses. I don't know if you can, there we go. And they're just literally bread and glue. And then I put some paint in to get the color I wanted. Here's a bigger one. Here's a little bud. Let's see, I'm trying to get this in focus and it's not wanting to cooperate, but anyway, so you get the idea. This is hand sculpting. Tonight we're going to use this wonderful mold from Gone Artsy. It's 3 flowers, 3 roses, and it's really simple. You hate the bread. Okay, so what you do is you take a piece of bread, cut the crust off, and then you tear it into tiny pieces and put it in a baggie. And the reason you're putting it in a baggie is just so you don't, get it all over your hands. If you want to do it in a bowl or something, you can do that too. I just prefer this. And so I just tear it into, little tiny pieces. And I'm just going to do it real quick here and then scoop it in. So give me a second. Now, depending on the amount you want to make, basically you want about a tablespoon of glue to 1 slice of bread. But as you increase, you need less glue. So if you go up to 3 pieces of bread, only use 2 tablespoons of glue. So, and I don't actually measure mine. I just squeeze it in until it looks about right and mix it up, and because you can always add more. And we all know Deb does not ever measure anything or follow directions exactly. That is my biggest problem with many things. So, okay, I almost got this, and I'm only going to do one piece. So let me put this other piece of bread away, and I'm going to use that for something else later on another project. Okay, let me get this scooped up in here. Okay, so remember, about 1 tablespoon of glue per slice of bread until you start increasing to more than 2. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of squeeze some glue in till it looks, close to a tablespoon. Like I said, if you want to measure, those are the measurements that you're supposed to use, but I never use measurements. So, okay, then seal your bag up and then just start squishing the heck out of it. And what you're trying to do is get the bread broken up completely and the glue worked into the bread because you're making clay. So basically you want to end up with, that that texture. Now, you're not, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be able to get it perfect in the bag. Well, I shouldn't say that. You probably could if you sat here for hours, but I don't have that kind of patience. So I get it mushed up and broken up as best I can. Okay. And then once I got it pretty good, I kind of try to get it all down into one corner. Which is a little bit of a trick because of the glue. And then I can open it up and pull it out. Now, when you pull it out, it is going to be very wet and very sticky. That does not mean you have too much glue. Could mean that, but it usually doesn't. Okay, so I'm pulling out the majority of it. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be mushy and yucky. Now, put it in your hands and just start rolling it and working it and working it and kneading. You want to get that bread really mushed up. You want it to be smooth. You don't want to see any lumps, okay? And it's going to get all over your hands, but trust me, it comes back off. So we're just going to work it and work it. Now, if you do feel like you have too much glue, you can add just a little bit of flour. But as you see, now I'm working it, it's starting to work off my hands and back into the dough. So it does, you'd be surprised that even though it feels like you have too much, you really don't. Okay, so I can get almost all of that back off by rolling it against my skin. Okay, and now it's starting to get that smooth, nice smooth feeling. And I'm just going to keep working it. And I just keep working it around my fingers and stuff to get as much off as I can. Okay. Now, don't throw your bag away because you're still going to need that. I'm sorry, Rebecca. Pam, when are you going to download that thing? Ad Blocker Plus on Chrome. Okay, now I'm going to show you what we have here. It's really smooth. As you can see, there's no, you can't see the bread in it anymore. Now, I mean, my fingers are sticky, so it's not showing well, but you can see it's really, really smooth, and you cannot see bread bits in it. And that's what you want. You want it to be not sticky anymore and not be able to see any bread bits. So I'm going to stick it back in here. Actually, no, I'm not. Let me first grab a baby wipe and wipe off this excess on my hands. Okay. Ugh. Write yourself a note, Pam. You'll be happy if you do it. Okay, so we got the majority of it off. I'm going to pinch this in half because I want to make two different colors. So I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to use this cracked pistachio distress ink on this one. Okay, and I'm just going to put a couple of drops. You don't need a whole lot, depending on the intensity that you want. And again, better to have too little and add more than have too much. I better put this on because we all know Deb spills too. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in there, squish it up. Okay, pull it out. Okay, it's kind of all over again, so, and it's a smaller amount, so I got to kind of scrape it off and rework it again. Now, if you were doing just one color from the beginning, when you first put your glue in, that would be the ideal time to put your inks in, but I knew I wanted to do two different colors. So now I'm going to throw that away. And as you see, I've got kind of a mottled look right now. So I'm just going to play with it some more, work it in. Unless you want that look. If you want that look, you're okay, then, you know, you can leave it like that. But I'm going to work it in again. And now I've got kind of this pretty mint color. Okay. All right, let me wipe my fingers again. Okay, so I experimented with this because I wasn't 100% sure that these would work well, that this recipe would work well in the molds, and I wanted to make sure before I did this class. So I do have some finished ones that I will show you in a minute. But I will say it absolutely worked perfectly. Now, the tiny, tiny molds, it would be a lot of work. The bigger, you know, like the key one and all that on the one set that I have. But in this one, it works perfectly. So just take a little bit off, stick it down in, and really push it in. Okay? Push it in really good. Because the key is you don't want a lot around the edges. So you want to push it down as far as you can. And I'm just going to work this over this way now. So any that you've got around the edge, you want to squish it in and work it the other way so that it ends up filling all three of your cavities on here. And that's all you need is just that tiny little pinch that I used. Okay, now that I've got it all in here, see, I'm going to make sure that it's pushed flat and that it's away from, you don't want any that is going to stick to the sides. You want that off. So you only want it to fill the cavity, in other words. Don't leave it around the blue part of the outer mold. Because once this dries, it's like a rock. You seriously could throw this against the wall and I don't know if it would break. And so cutting off any excess would be a problem. Okay, so I've got it in there and now I'm just going to turn it over and gently kind of shake it. You may have to give it a little bit of a hand, but there's one and the other two. Okay, and now that they're out, you can take a little palette knife or whatever and cut off any excess. Like, I don't know if you can see on this one right here. I'm trying to scoot it over. It's got that little wing part that was the connector between the two. I'm going to cut that off. Now, if you wanted to leave them connected, you take your time when you're getting them out and leave them connected, but I don't want that. I want them separate. So there's one. Let that dry. There's two. Here, I'll lift one up so you can see it really good. Okay, come on, focus. Focus, there we go. Okay, so it came out perfectly out of that mold. And all it is, literally, is glue and bread. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to shape that one a bit because that one kind of stretched and move that out of the way. Okay, so when I was experimenting, and I'm going to do another color yet, but I wanted to just show you that. When I was experimenting, I did not put any color in because I wanted to see, it had been a while since I'd done this plain, and I wanted to see what color it would come out. And I got to tell you, it came out like an antique white, and I absolutely love it. That is no color. It's just the glue and the bread dried, okay? So once you have this and they're dry, you could paint it if you wanted to color, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do in a little bit here. Okay, so I need to make another color, and I have some from the other night in another bag from when I was doing the experiment. And this time I'm going to use some Dylusions paint because I wanted red. So what I'm going to do is just take my finger, get a little bit on there, and spread it across it. Okay, and this is a really intensive paint. It really, really has heavy pigment in it, so you don't need a ton. Just your little finger worth is, you know, more than enough. All right, close this back up. The one thing about Dylusions paint is you really got to make sure you seal it as soon as you're done using it. All right, so I'm going to close this bag back up now and squish it so that I get the color I want. And if it's not, you know, colorful enough for you, add more. But I think that this is probably going to be good for what I want. Okay, I'm going to pull it back out. And I'm going to need this one now. And it works best if you kind of make these, you know, worm things and then fold it over and redo it and just keep playing with it like you would Sculpey. It feels exactly like Sculpey. How long does it take to dry? Okay, I haven't talked about that yet, but it does take about 24 hours depending on the size of the piece that you make. Those big roses that I showed you earlier, that was about 24 hours. But if you want to make something really big out of clay, it may, you know, out of this clay, it may take a couple of days. Like if you were sculpting, oh, say a little animal shape or something, you know, from hand, it may take a little bit. Okay, so that is a nice red right there, and I think I'm going to stick with that. Yep, I like it. Okay, get this off my fingers. Now, like I said, it is like a rock when it dries, so do not get it on your work surface. If you get it on your work surface, wipe it up right away. So using a craft mat really helps. Okay, so I'm going to pinch off a little bit. And I'm going to stick that in here and make another one. And again, I'm just sticking it in the first one and working it down to the others. And this is so old school. I cannot believe more of you have not seen this. Okay, I don't have quite enough, so I'm going to add a little bit. Okay, and again, I want them separate, so I'm going to make cuts in them while I've got it in here. And now I'm just going to bend them out. Okay, don't leave them in here. Well, I don't know. You might be able to leave them in there to dry. I haven't tried it, but I wouldn't. I would get them out and let them air dry. I think they'll dry quicker too that way. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up again so you can see. Come on, focus. There we go. So there's a really pretty red rose. Okay, so I've got the green and the red. Now, those will have to dry overnight before I can use them. So I'm just going to set them aside. Now, your clay will last a few days before it gets hard in your bag, but make sure that you know, get it sealed really well and in a tight bag. So I'm just going to drop all three of my colors in here. Okay, and set that aside. Okay, so now you can see it didn't stick to the mold or anything. It's really nice. It came out cleanly, but it wouldn't hurt to rinse it anyway and dry it just to be on the safe side. All right, I am going to wipe my hands really good because I'm going to be now touching other things for the actual project. But isn't that cool? Just bread and glue, guys, and a little paint if you're, or ink if you want color. And if you play with it, you can hand sculpt, you know, just like it ends up being just literally like the Sculpey clay, and it actually dries a little bit harder than Sculpey, I think. So, okay, wipe up my space. All right, so I wanted to try this. I have not tried it, but I'm going to because I think it's going to work really well. And that is, this is just the, you know, this embossing stamp pad, and this is some Stampin' Up iridescent ice that I had that I thought would really work well on this color of bread flour. So I'm going to stick this in here, get some of that on there. Then I'm going to put it in the cap and sprinkle this on. Okay, I'm going to do that again. Put that back in there. Okay, and I'm just turning it upside down to get the excess off. Alright, so now I have that on there. Get this put away. Okay, now I'm just going to heat set that, just like you would if you were embossing anything else. Okay, I'm going to need something to hold these still, so. Alright. So I'm just heat setting it so that that glitter stays on. Okay, pick this up here so you can see it. And there you go. Now I've got like an iridescent, almost tea-dyed look, antique-y. Come on, focus. Okay, it may not be focusing because of the sparkle, but you see, and it's really, really pretty. No, I didn't add cinnamon, Rhonda, but you could, I suppose, to make it smell good. Yes, Alicia, you can make a cinnamon and applesauce one, which pretty sure I did a video on that a while ago, so it's probably up on my, I think that one's on my personal. Okay, so what I wanted to do was show you, once you've made these, one of the things that you can do with them. Okay, so this is just a black pot holder that I picked up at Dollar Tree, okay? And I'm going to take, this is leftover from the kit still. I'm still working with scraps from the kit, okay? And I'm going to fold this in half. Now, I had already done it, so it's, you know, pretty stuck that way. You could iron it if you feel you need to. Now, your raw edge right here is where you want your raw edge of this, okay? Because you are going to tuck that in. Now, I'm going to tuck it in the top. Okay? And then I'm going to tuck it in the side. Now, if you wanted this to go quickly, you would use hot glue and glue all this together as you're going. You know, glue this on there, which I have done, but I wanted this to be washable because what I'm making is an eyeglass case. So, okay, so I'm going to flip this over now that I've got that where I want it. I'm going to tuck the top in again and then come back in and tuck in this side. And you'll have to manipulate as you're working a little bit. But there you see, okay? So that's what you're going to have, and that's going to be an eyeglass case. Now, because I'm going to use OK to wash it, because I want this to be washable, I'm going to first do one side, so I'm going to take this apart again. I'm going to, now that I've got it where I know I want it, I'm going to flip this open and I'm going to glue this down. And again, I know a lot of you like to use hot glue. I don't. And so I'm just going to run this along the edge here and along this edge because this is actually going to stick to the other side. Okay, and I'm going to lay my netting down over that. Okay, and I think that's going to be a little bit, well, no, I don't, maybe not. I can always cut it off later. Now, make sure you kind of tuck your corners so they lay nice, or you could trim it. I'm just tucking it. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to take one of these clips, I don't know what they're called, but anyway, and I'm going to put that on this edge, just on the top edge. Okay, and now I'm going to fold this over, and because the bottom is going to seal, I don't want to actually touch it down yet. I just want to kind of pull it up. Okay, and I want to manipulate that bottom edge before I actually seal that bottom shut. Okay, so I'm manipulating the edge, getting it nice and smooth, and then I'm pushing it shut. Okay, and this bottom is not going to have any lace in between it. It's just going over it. Okay, and I don't think I have that quite straight. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go in and put some glue along the edge again. And tuck that side under. Okay, now before I do this, I'm going to go in here and just kind of manipulate my corner to make it nice and smooth, and then take another one of these clips and clip it together so that it stays that way while it dries. Okay, and I'm going to do that a couple of times up and down it. Actually, I'm going to need a bigger clip, so I'm going to use these. So I have these for this because it's a little thicker than I thought it was. So I'm going to stick that on there. And before you get all the way to the top, now we've got to go in and do this top edge. So I'm going to go in, put a little bit more glue there, and add the top edge. Okay, now you have to be careful that your top edge does not seal shut. So you might want to put some wax paper or something in between just to be safe. I'm going to go ahead and keep working for the sake of the video and the class. But you want to make sure that this area stays open. That's your pocket for your glasses. Okay? All right, so let's imagine this is all dry and pretty now. And what I'm going to do on this one is add some glasses. I have these little charms. One of the things I want to say is that you will notice that Miriam from Miriam's Crafting Supply and I are, we work hand in hand a lot. I am on her DT team. We advertise for each other, and we also help each other advertise. So this is from her store. Love her little charms and stuff. So we're going to put this up here, and I'm going to put a set of glasses. I think I want them at an angle like that. One there. I've got 3 sets, and I'm going to do 2 gold and 1 silver. So I'm going to put them like that. And then I want one that's just straight across. Not sure how I want that yet. Maybe I'll do it like this. 1, 2, 3. What do you think? Do you like it across or at an angle better? I kind of like it across, so I think I'm going to stick with it that way. Okay, I got to get some of this glue off my fingers, sorry. All right, again, and this will not be dry until tomorrow, so you'll have to wait till then to actually have me lift it up, but you'll get the idea. Oh, good, everybody agrees with me, across. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue around the edge, and I'm still using this OK to Wash It glue. And it's pretty strong stuff, so I'm just going to put a little bit around the edges. Not much, because you don't want it to seep out all over your lace. Oh, I think I got a bit much there. Okay, so I'm going to lay that on my lace. Okay. Silver one on. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the other gold one on first. Gold. That way I can get the silver nice and centered. Okay, and I want to just reiterate here that the purpose to these You Can Tuesday classes is to make simple, easy projects that any crafter can do, even a beginner crafter. So if this looks really easy, well, yes it is, and that's why. Okay, so I got the other gold one on. Now I'm going to put the silver in the center. Sorry, I'm trying not to get too much, so I have to really watch it. Okay. Put that silver one in the center. Okay, so now I've got those on. And again, I got to get this glue off my fingers. Yes, it does dry clear, Pam. Okay, so Miriam also sells little flat back pearls, and so I'm going to use some of those along with those roses. So I'm going to take 2 of the kind of goldish colored, come on, champagne I believe it's called, colored pearls. I'm going to take 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they come in different sizes. There's big, medium, and little, and I think she's got other sizes too, but this is what I have in this package right here. So they come in 3 different sizes that I've got, but I'm using the smallest one, and my fingers are really stuck with this glue. This is some sticky, sticky glue. Get these put up. Ugh! You know, that's one thing my crafting studio does not have is a sink that I really wish that it did so I could wash my hands. Baby wipes just don't always cut it. Okay. Sorry. I know it's not much fun watching me wash my hands. Okay, now in the corners of the gold ones, I'm going to put just a dot of glue again. Okay, and there's just a hair too much, so I'm going to take some of that one off of that one and some of that for that one. And then I'm going to stick these gold, like pearls, in the corners. Flat back pearls in the, and I believe they're called champagne, but I could be wrong. Okay, I'm just going to use my palette knife to manipulate that where I want it. Okay, and again on this one, and on this one. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is I'm going to use my little roses that I made, and I'm going to put them in the corner of the silver one. Whoop. And got a little much glue there, I think. Just turn them. And there we have it. And you have a cute little glasses case. And that is really simple and pretty reasonable products. $1 for the pot holder that I got at the Dollar Tree. I think these little things are like, I don't know, $1 or something a piece from Miriam. And once you've bought the mold, that's your only investment, because everybody has bread and glue around. So, and then you can paint it or do whatever you want. This is just a little bit of glitter and these little tiny flat back pearls, and most of us have that. Now, and again, this is just leftover lace. Use whatever you want for lace. But yeah, so that's that one. I think it turned out really cute. And it'll look better once all of these are off, obviously, and I'll put a picture up, but that's the first one. Okay, then, still using leftover lace, I also have a red pot holder, and this one I've already glued down, so I have my pocket. Okay, and this is leftover lace from the kit. I believe this is the one that we didn't really use. So doing the same thing, I'm going to tuck it inside and wrap it around. This one I didn't need to put it in the edge, so that's why I went ahead and glued it ahead of time. I'm going to go through the baby wipes tonight, boy. Yes, these would be good Christmas gifts. Really easy, cheap Christmas gifts. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of figure out how much I need to cut off here. And so I think I need it about right here. Okay, and I'm just going to put a little glue here on the outside, on the inside. Fold that over and tuck it. And I'm going to put one of those in between so that it doesn't stick together and also holds it in place. Okay, and I'm going to, and I don't like where that's laying, so I'm going to move it just slightly. Move it this way just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Yep. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. This one, and if you want to put a, a strip of glue, whoops, down here to keep it in place, you could do that. I don't really find that that's necessary, but it's good practice, especially if you know they might wash it. Okay, get that glue off my finger, and I'm going to put another one on those clips on the other side. Okay, all right, so now there's your start. Okay, and now you just need to decide which direction you want your front to be. Do you want your, on this particular lace, it's got a curve on one side and a straight on the other, so you could have it this way or you could have it this way. I'm right-handed, so I prefer my eyes just naturally go to the right, so that's what I want. Now, I was gifted a doily flower. You could make your own. We have 100 videos out there on this. Amy Garcia has made some on it, and she's got some fabulous ideas on different ways to make flowers. But I was gifted this by, I believe it was Carolyn Hawkins. So I'm going to use this and remake it. So I'm going to take this this orange one off because I don't want the orange one. And that leaves me with this. So I'm also going to peel this off of there. And I'm now left with just the doily flower with this cute little applique in the center, okay? And I'm going to use that on the front of this. So I'm going to put some glue in the center part. And I'm using quite a lot of glue because I want it to stay really nicely and, you know, not fall off. And I'm just going to center it on here, push it down. Okay. All right. So in the middle of that, now I've got these flowers in the store, and they come with pearls in the middle of the center one. You could use that center one with the pearls if you wanted. I happen to have already pulled the pearls off of this one, so I'm not going to do that. But I am going to take one of the petals, and I just want one petal. Okay, and I'm going to try to get it shaped nicely. Get all that excess netting off of it. Okay, do we have any questions so far? I mean, this is so simple, I can't imagine that we do, but happy to answer anything. Okay, and I'll just wait for you guys to answer while I'm going to keep on working. Okay, so now I've got this little round thing, and I want that edge to kind of bend under so it's not so obvious, so I'm just putting a little glue on there and putting it underneath and pinching it. Okay, and now I'm going to put that right in the center here. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that that edge that's under is kind of off. I don't want it to show right in the front, so, or I mean right, you know, as the, I don't want it at the top. Okay, so now I've got that on there like that. And can I get it to focus? Focus. I wish there was an easier way to get this stuff to focus. Okay, there we go. Yes, that's correct. And this is like the third project, I believe, that I've used scraps on. Okay, so that is, that's in the center. Now, I had planned on putting one of these red flowers in the center of that, but I want, that's too much alike, so if you wanted to do Christmas colors, you could put a green one in there. But instead, what I'm going to do is just stick some of these leaves, and this is May Arts ribbon. What's it called? It's it doesn't have a name, but anyway, I get this from May Arts ribbon. Okay, so I'm going to just take a little piece of that, and I don't know how much I'm going to need, and this obviously is not dry yet, so I can't glue it down. Get that centered back in there. And I'm just going to trim this up so that I have some leaves coming down. So I think I want 2 to start with. And I'm going to lay it like that. I don't want it to be, you know, perfectly round on it. So there's 2. And I think, yeah, I think I'll do a couple more going up like this. And then that would be on the top. And let's see. Yeah, I don't like that. So I'm going to leave those 2. I like that. And I'm going to go in and just cut these apart. And so I'm going to have one, I think, over here. And don't glue it down until you decide where you want it. That is really important, guys. And trim that up just a tad more and do something more like that. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Just to give it, you know, and you could add more if you wanted. You can have as many as you want, but I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take this off, and now I'm going to glue these on. Okay, there's that one. And there is a right and wrong side to these, so make sure you look at them. Glue that one there. And I'm going to glue that one. Yeah, I think I want it more like that. I don't want it to be perfectly symmetrical. I've never been a real symmetrical person. I don't know why. I prefer asymmetrical. Okay, now you would let those dry, and let's just pretend this was dry, and that would go right in the center like that, and there you have another lovely, simple glasses case. Oop, I wasn't in focus, but there, I wanted you to see the flower. Okay, and you could put another little white something behind it, or if you didn't like the red, you could use, this is still from the same kit, you could put that in the center, you know, if you wanted a contrast. I mean, there's a million things you could do. The cream one, whoops, my leaves are coming off. So this is what happens when you get in a hurry and don't let things dry. And of course it doesn't help that my fingers are sticky. Really, Deb. So I think I'm going to have to put a little more glue in there and let that dry. There we go. Okay, so you could put, you know, your other cream one in there. That would be really pretty. I don't know if you can, I'm trying to keep my fingers out of the way so you could see it. Well, here, I'll just stick it in there. So the cream one, you could put more than one on there. You could, you know, you could do 100 things, let's be honest. So that, my lovelies, is our class for tonight. Simple. I know I should have never touched it. Yeah, I know. All right, so get this back off because I don't want that on there. And let that dry. There we go. Okay, so that was an easy class. What do you think? We made 3 projects in, what, 45 minutes. That's really good. I mean, 3 projects if you include the, you know, the bread dough. Yes? Would you make these? Okay, good. Like I said, these You Can Tuesdays are meant to be very simple projects. They're not supposed to be expensive. I don't want them to be complicated. And I think we accomplished that, and these would make really pretty gifts. And all you need to purchase really is this little mold. And I'm sure most of us have lace laying around. You can get doilies in the store. We have lots of stuff available, and it's, you know, for a reasonable price, you come up with a really pretty project. All right, thank you ladies for joining us, and that's it for me tonight. Where did the other one go? I'll add this back in so we can see them both. And this is actually almost dry. So let me get these off here. And that's the one thing about that Eileen's glue is it does dry really fast. Now this inside is not quite dry, so I'm not going to take that one. Well, yeah, I can take that out. Okay, and that is the first one we made. And your glasses go right inside there. And I'll probably trim this up after it's dry completely. And I would recommend that you do that just to make it, you know, just to make it pretty so it doesn't have all that excess. All right, there we go. Have a great night, everyone, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Next week is Rhonda's class, and let's see, I'm not sure if anyone else has a class up until then. Nope, Rhonda's class is next Tuesday, and then on Thursday, the 23rd, will be Amy Garcia's last class for us, and I hope you guys can all join us. All right, have a great night.